And welcome to another Domo live stream. Apologies, everyone, for being a little late to the game this morning. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. We got them figured out, we think. And obviously, the stress test on the chat is fully engaged as we look to break more records, Dan. Every time we get on camera, it seems like we have more and more folks joining us, which is exciting, because we get to share a lot of success and goodness with you. And I just love some of the comments already coming in. Obviously, Casey at Domo HQ checking in with us. Colt also at Domo HQ. AI Agents and the Masters. It's an amazing day. Obviously, I celebrate privately here in Indiana. Den's not much of a golfer, but he did manage to put on some Masters green for us. So that makes me a little happy, Dan.
Yeah, I didn't even... Not much of the golfing type. Didn't even realize it was the Masters this week. So glad it worked out.
Well, we don't expect you to notice anything other than those beautiful mountains behind you. Obviously, Dan is in Utah. I'm joining from Indiana, and we got lots of folks joining us from around the country and around the world. We appreciate so many of you being here and being a part of these. Obviously, we continue to do them because you continue to show up, you continue to be engaged, and lots of folks here enjoy the content that's given. So we're going to continue to do that. Dan approached me about a couple of weeks ago, Domopalooza, talking about the momentum we're building around AI agents and some of the stuff he'd like to do with the Advanced Customer Enablement Team and these hands-on sessions. So Dan, talk a little bit about, what we are trying to accomplish over the next 8 sessions. We're going to kind of wrap this up into a mini series, I believe, over AI agents. And I know we're going to call it the AI Academy. So again, thanks everybody for joining episode 1. Dan, let's talk a little bit about this AI Academy and what we hope people, get out of these sessions.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot to you guys about how Domo is the AI and data products platform, right? You can see that here on the header, and how Domo is really built for this moment and the platform to build your agentic AI solutions on. And so, and we've demonstrated a couple of those. It was really neat at Domopalooza. Somebody, I don't know who it was, I need to give them a pat on the back, had the thought that we should do this agentic AI showcase. And if any of you were there, it was really fun. They put a literal shot clock up on the podium. They gave us 10 minutes. I think we went through 6 or 8 of them. And in the 10 minutes, we had to explain the use case that our agent was going to solve. We had to literally build it live in front of everybody and then run it or demonstrate it. So it was really powerful. We got a ton of great feedback from it. Everybody loved it. Matt says it was his favorite breakout. I'm glad to hear that, Matt. And so it just solidified in my mind that we need to put more of these together. So you mentioned 8. We've got the first 8 planned already. I've got my little sheet here. We're going to do, we've got a cool one today that'll be relatively simple, but we got marketing campaign management. We've got W-9 processing, rubric scoring for sales reps, response to customer reviews and sentiment analysis. We've got a ton of cool stuff planned. And Eddie, if everybody's okay with it, we might not stop at 8. We might keep the thing going.
I don't think you're going to hear a lot of arguments from our audience for more content and more of these opportunities to learn how to build these AI agents and how to use Domo and utilize Domo to kind of solve those problems for you in your instance. Dan and I, this is obviously very quick. We're working throughout the week to make sure that the topic is relevant, that the content is relevant, that we have titles and descriptions so we can build out these sessions very fast. And honestly, being here today, you're going to get a sneak peek at the link for the next one because the registration page for our community hasn't even been built yet, which is great because we do these very fast. So join us for episode 2. The link is going in the chat right now. You'll be able to use that. I'll try to have a QR code here at the end of the session for you to be able to scan. I know it's a little bit easier for folks not using the chat function, copying and pasting out of that. To get to the registration page, we'll get a QR code for you, I promise, by the end of the episode.
That'll be a good one too. We got the esteemed Riley Morgan is going to handle presenting that one. I know Riley's a favorite amongst all of you, and that'll be a good one. You don't want to miss that one. He's going to go through marketing campaign management. I want to keep the powder dry on it, but it's one that I think will resonate with all you guys.
Yeah, Riley, our good friend Riley Morgan on Dan's team at the Advanced Customer Enablement side, he is in the background watching the comments and making sure that he shares any relevant information through links and knowledge base and articles that might be able to help. And I'll also kind of be on the back end helping share some of the content from Domopalooza. Tons of sessions, customer sessions, main stage speakers, and some of those other resources that Dan mentioned from Domopalooza a few weeks ago that we'll share with you. You guys can have access to that as well. Dan, today, I know we talked briefly about kind of this being episode 1, a little bit of a general overview for folks to be able to kind of kick off their learnings in this AI agentic space. And we want to kind of dive into that. So I'll let you briefly overview what we're going to talk about today specifically. I know you said this is kind of a simple, basic, kind of get your feet wet on all of the things AI before we dive into those specific use cases on each episode. So let's talk a little bit about what folks are going to learn today on the hands-on side.
Yeah, the one we're going to show today, like I mentioned, a pretty simple one, right? We're going to write a subject line and a message, and we're going to send that out to a list of people, and it's going to send it to them in their preferred language, right? So, if you're writing communications to internal folks, customers, whomever, and you want to do it across a lot of different languages, this agent will do that for you. It's pretty cool. We've got offices here at Domo. We got offices in Tokyo and Barcelona. So locales and languages is a thing that we deal with, and I think all of you can relate. But more importantly, what I want you to take away from today is some of the concepts and the understanding of how this agent that I'm going to introduce to you works, and kind of some of the fundamentals around working with that. We'll continue to reinforce that as we go through the series, but that's my big goal today. If we can all have a really good understanding of how that works, how you can give it tools and all those sorts of things, and we'll have a pretty cool agent when we're done at the end of it too.
That's awesome. Now, before you get started and jump in to some of the Domo magic, as I like to call it when I get on calls with Dan, he does lots of magician stuff that I have no business being a part of. Before you jump into that, Dan, I did want everyone on the chat to know, as we always do during these calls, every webinar, live stream, community event, ACE hands-on session, AI Academy, Domo Solutions that we started yesterday, all of these events are immediately recorded and uploaded at the same link that you got to see the first event. So all you'll have to do is refresh and then be able to see this content immediately upon its conclusion. We also stream over Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Twitter X may be broken. I'm getting an error on Twitter X, which is fine. We want to make sure that you have all the content in all the places and all the spaces. So if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook and YouTube watching us there, again, it will be uploaded immediately. As soon as you're finished, you'll be able to rewatch that content. Those platforms automatically do that, and we automatically do it inside the StreamYard platform as well, which is where you got to be exposed to it for the registration for this event through the community if you're on that side as well. The recordings do remain at the same URL always after all of these. It doesn't change. That's why we use this platform. It's super easy. All right, Dan, I'm going to kind of turn things over to you, let you jump in here. We'll do some Q&A and post things as we go along, as we usually do. Make sure to utilize the chat and comment section, as we always do during these sessions, to keep the conversation flowing and to make sure that nothing gets missed. If there's something specific, we try to dive into those. Dan's pretty good at jumping back and forth, which I love. So, Dan, you ready to take it away, or we got more stuff you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So as Dan gets that ready, remember, guys, utilize the chat and find us on all the places. If you're not following us on those social media channels, you can also get early notifications when these get uploaded as well. All right, Dan, it's your time to shine, buddy. The wizard, Dan Hendriksen, Director of Product Enablement and the ACE Customer Team. Excited to see what you have for us on the AI side.
All right, Eddie, I appreciate you, man. We'll try not to get that infinity screen thing going on, but I'm going to share out my whole screen this time so I can move some things in and out. Like I said, we're going to build an agent today, and that agent is going to take a subject line and a message body that we're going to write. It's going to translate it to a user's preferred language, and it's going to send that correspondence out to them. So hopefully you're all following along. It's really a simple one. I promise you, you can do it. If you're just watching, that works as well. But I would encourage you to get logged into your Domo instance and follow along. We're going to start by just making a really quick and simple web form. So make your way to the data center. I'm sure you all know how to do this. We'll hit connect data. I'm going to search for the web form, and I'm going to just really quickly here call this our email distribution list, AI webinar. And I'm just going to create 3 columns here. I'm going to have an email address. I'm going to have my name. And I'm going to have the language that I want content delivered to me in. Now, I'm going to put my email address in for all of these. And I'm just going to do, we'll do like 3 of them maybe, so we can do a few different languages. We'll say that my name is Dan, and Dan. And for the language, we'll do one in English. Let's go with, I saw somebody from Barcelona. So let's go with Spanish. And I saw someone from Tokyo. So let's go with Japanese. If I could spell Japanese. There we go. So feel free to create as many as you'd like. What we're going to do today, these emails are just going to get sent from Domo's system. So they're going to come from notifications@domo.com. We can talk about how you could leverage your own SMTP server and all those sorts of things. But again, we're just trying to tie off on some concepts with this AI agent. So I'm going to leave my list here. Again, I've got an English speaker, a Japanese speaker, and a Spanish speaker. We're going to go ahead and save that web form. And so now I've got my data set that will serve as my reference for who I'm writing to and what language we're going to do it in. I don't know why the saving here is taking a moment, but bear with me as it does its thing. Come on, Domo. We're flirting with the demo gods here. Maybe. All right. What do we got going on here? Did you break it, Eddie?
I didn't. This is the
Here.
product of, this is a good time to remind our folks. This is the product of a good live demo. This is usually, how things work out. All of you are probably all trying to do it at the same time. I'll do my Steve Jobs. Okay, if everyone can turn off their hotspots, we'll be able to show you the 2007 iPhone that is revolutionary. But unfortunately, your hotspots are creating an issue. No, I'm kidding.
We're gonna do this one more time.
This is always the fun of doing live demos. It never works as quick as we'd like.
All right. Well,
all right, Dan, we're going to give you one more chance. You're holding it wrong, Kelly says.
All right, let's hit save one more time. We may need to try it in a different Domo environment if we're having some issue here. Oh, there we go. We got it. Preparing. 3 rows. Okay, Kelly, you were right. I was holding it wrong. We got it. So sorry that took as long as it did, but we've got our 3 values here. Now, most of the AI agents that you're going to build are going to be powered by our workflows engine. If you have no experience with this, that is just great. But I'm going to have you hit this more button and click on workflows. And we're going to create a new workflow. For those of you that do have experience with workflows, this will be hands down the simplest workflow you've ever built. It's got a singular step, and we're going to show you how powerful these AI agents are. So I'm going to hit new workflow. I'm going to create a blank one. I'm going to call this sending translated communications. You can call it whatever you want to. This is for the AI agent webinar on 4/10. All right, we'll go ahead and hit save. And now I mentioned it's going to be a really, really, really simple workflow, but we are going to start with a customized start form. And this is where we're just going to ask what subject line and what message body we want to send. So if you click on the start shape that shows on your canvas there, over on the right-hand side, we've got this green button for customize start form. Go ahead and click on that for me, and we'll give this a name. We'll call it company communications. Call it whatever you'd like. And we're just going to add two simple questions. The first one is subject line. And we're going to add another one that we'll call message body. I'm going to change this one from short answer to paragraph, just because it gives me a little bit larger text box to operate in. But that is the entirety of our start form here. We're keeping it really simple. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. And now, again, if this is your first time leveraging workflows, no problem. All of your inputs and outputs from every step you have need to be mapped to variables. So over here in the lower right-hand corner, we can see that we now have two different parameters that are going to come in, a message body and a subject line. If you click on that drop down, I'm just going to have you click create variable and map for each of those. What that does, we can see over on the left-hand side, it populated our variable list with two variables that match the parameter names. And it's going to
Dan,
store.
Sorry.
You
just get going, and sometimes I don't know when the a great opportunity is to pop in here on some of these questions. But we did have a couple of references here. Are some of these options that may not be available to everybody, or should everybody in their instance be seeing this since the changeover? I know we get this question a lot, and I do want to address it early on. There may be things that you see that may not be turned on or part of your instance, or it may not be part of your contract. Definitely something to reach out to your CSM on or your account manager, correct?
Yeah. So if workflows isn't turned on for you, it should be. I apologize about that. But yeah, reach out to your CSM, reach out to your account team. If you're in the Domo community instance, you can do it in there, but it should be turned on for everybody. So
okay,
I apologize we didn't have that caveat at the beginning, because I didn't think we were going to encounter that.
No worries. We did have a comment about like not being, I've never used workflows before, and I know this is going to speak really near and dear to your heart, right? But I'd love to get some guides or reference use cases. Dan, I consider the king of workflows, and he has a ton of content that we've done over workflows on these live streams. I'm kind of going back historically and looking how many we've done. But we have a ton of stuff on the YouTube playlist that Elliot was nice to throw out there as well. So thank you, Elliot. I'll just do a better job, Dan. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in and knock you off there, but on that
no,
one,
it's all good. I moved this thing over to the other screen so that I can hopefully keep an eye on it as we go. So I'll try and do that. But Eddie, interrupt me at any time. So as I was saying, we've got now two variables that are going to store the values that get entered into that form for message body and subject line. Now, our workflow's got a single step. We're going to hit this plus button, and we've got this AI agent task. This is super, super cool. And this is what I want you guys to gain a better understanding of, because it's going to be foundational in all these AI agents we're going to build. So once you've added that, you can either give it a title by double clicking on that shape, or over here in the right-hand rail, you can configure it. So I'm going to call this translate, message, and send. The name of this step is completely inconsequential. It's literally just a label. We'll tell it everything that we want it to do here under this configure AI agent. So on the rail on the right-hand side here, I'm going to click configure AI agent. And this is where we get a screen where we can instruct the agent what we want it to do. We can give it access to some tools, and we can even test it, which is pretty cool. So, and we'll want to do that for sure, so you can see exactly how this is working. So important to note that the agent task will use model defined in the AI service layer. So by default, that's going to be Domo GPT. It's housed by Domo. Your information stays in Domo, but you or your admin can go in and choose which models are going to be used. But just be aware of that. And here's where we can give it instructions. That is what we want this agent to do. So I'm going to write a pretty simple set of instructions, and I might even go against some best practices here just to show you how well the thing works. I'm going to tell it that I want you to query the data set to get a list of names, email addresses, and languages. I then want you to loop through all of the values in that list, and I want you to send them an email. Before you send the email, please translate the subject line and message body to the user's preferred language found in the data set. In the email body, please make sure to address the user by their first name, then use the message body provided. So when I say we're going against some best practices, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not telling it what the schema of my data set is. I'm intentionally being vague because I want you to have the experience of seeing how this thing goes through its decision-making process, which is super, super fun. Now, over here on the right-hand side, we've got some parameters that we can use as input. This is where some of these variables can come into play. So I'm going to hit custom, and I'm going to tell it that I'm giving it a subject line. And I'm going to insert our subject line variable here. I'm going to tell it we're going to give it a message body. And I'm going to insert our message body here. When the agent runs, it's going to receive not only our set of instructions, but it's also going to receive those parameters as an input. So we've told it what we want it to do. We've given it some input parameters, and now we need to give it access to some tools. Now, for those of you that are familiar with workflows, these tools are code engine packages or functions. And so if we think through what we want the workflow to do, we need to make sure we give it access to tools that can do everything we're asking it to do. So on this tools page, I'm going to hit add tools, and we're asking it to do a couple of things, right? I mentioned I want it to query a data set. So I'm going to search for the word query. It's a Domo data set, so I'm going to grab that package. And it looks like in here we have a function, query with SQL, query for data matching a provided SQL statement. I think that's going to get us, I think that's going to give the tool or give the agent what it needs, which is the ability to query a data set. So I'm going to go ahead and add that function. Now, we asked it to send an email. So I'm going to search for send again. And here, my Domo notifications package says you can send a notification using Domo Buzzer email. That looks like it's got what I need. And if I scroll down here, send email. It's got the ability to send a stylized email to an email address, list of people, or a list of groups. The option to include attachments. Perfect. So we're going to add that function. And then the last thing that we need to give it a tool to do is to translate our language. Right? So I'm going to add tools again. And this time I'm going to search for AI, and I'm going to use our Domo AI service layer. And I'm going to tell it that I want it to give it access to the text generation tool, right? Hopefully, if this thing does what I think it'll do, it's going to give it a list of instructions that are telling it to generate text in a different language that says the same message as what I wrote in English. Eddie, any of these things in the chat we need to pause and address here really quick?
No, here's what I love about our community in these sessions. We
They're
have
all
tons of
answering
folks.
them.
We have, they're answering each other's questions, which are awesome. We have folks from Domo on here as well, helping kind of address some of these issues. Lots of conversations. Someone asked, could you please post the description? And someone from Domo had already posted it, Blake, I believe. So special shout out to everyone from Domo helping our users, and special shout out to some of our advocates and community members helping out new users. So it's amazing the way this community kind of self-serves on this. And I think the more we do these, the more we realize, well, there's not a lot of things to address because our chat is addressing it themselves. So absolutely
I love it.
that. Yeah, thank you, Dan, for that. Appreciate it.
No problem. I did just paste my exact instructions in here. It looks like Blake had already got something very similar, but in case you want those, so thank you, Eddie. So now I've given it instructions, I've given it some parameters, and I've given it the tools that I think it needs. Now, one other thing that I want to tell you about these tools is if you click on one of them, like this query with SQL, for example, it's encouraging me to provide descriptions, right? So if I give it descriptions here as to what each one of the tools is helpful for, it's going to do a lot better job at knowing which tool it needs to use to execute the plan that it made based on my instructions. Now, I told you that I'm going to do this kind of fast and lazy, and I'm going to go against some best practices to show you how well the thing works. I'm going to roll with the descriptions that already exist. I'm not going to give it any additional details, but what I am going to do, you can see here on this query with SQL, for all of the inputs that each function requires, in this case, it looks for a data set and a SQL statement. It's got the ability to autofill the value. Basically, it's going to make a decision and guess what it should use, and it's going to try to use that, or we can give it a custom value. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it which data set I want it to use, because I didn't do that in the instructions at all. So I'm going to choose my email distribution list AI webinar data set. Again, I'm going to break our best practices, and I'm not even going to give it a description. I'm just going to tell it what data set I want it to use. As far as the other couple of steps, I think it's going to be able to figure out how to do what it needs to do. So I'm going to give it an instruction to use that data set. And we'll talk about best practices here in a second, why we're doing some testing. But I'm going to go ahead and test this thing. Now, this is really cool because this allows you to see exactly what the agent's doing. You can follow along and run the test on your own if you want to. Be aware that it is going to do what we tell it to do. So it is going to send those emails. But I'm going to hit test. It's going to take a minute or two. And while we do that, I'm going to talk through some best practices. So we do need to emulate the input. So I told it I was going to give it a subject line, and we'll call this how to build an AI agent. And we'll give it a message body, which is, we'll keep it something fairly simple. This is an instructional sheet on how to build an AI agent. If you have any questions, please speak with your technical counterpart. I don't know. We'll put some simple message body in here. In execution, right, this is going to be the parameter that was entered into that form, whatever the user says they want to say. And this can be rich HTML and all sorts of things. Again, we're keeping it simple here, but I'm going to hit run, and our agent is doing its thing. I'm going to come back to it in just a second. But I do want to talk a little bit about these best practices that I said I was avoiding. As much description as you can give it in the instruction, it's going to do better, and it's going to work that much more efficiently. There are some questions about credit usage, so we'll talk about that. It's going to be that much more efficient, and it's going to happen that much faster. So it would have been a good idea if I told it, hey, I want you to use the data set named this, or even passed the data set in to my prompt here. I should have given it an idea as to exactly what the columns were called in the schema. There's a few things like that. I could be more verbose, more descriptive in there. The other thing that I could have done or should have done is given it more description around the tools, right? So telling it which tool it should use for which thing. I'm getting notifications like crazy. So I'm thinking my messages went through, but let me just check the chat here real quick. How do I find where our CSM is, Dave? I can help you with that. And input message body. So it was Teha. That message body input is going to be the variable that's going to house the value from that form. So we'll show you that when we run it here again in just a second. But I want to go to this testing page and I want to show you this output, right? So I know this looks a little bit codey right now, a little bit code-esque. It's a big blob of JSON that you get back. I'm confident that the team will put some effort into this presentation, but we didn't want to hold it back. But I want to show you exactly what it did and walk you through it. So I gave it a subject line, and you can see here what we want to focus on is this text. And the agent says, great, I'll walk through the process of querying the data set, translating the subject line to message body, and sending personalized emails to each participant in their preferred language. And it made a decision. Let's break this down into steps. 1, query the data set. 2, loop through the results, translate the subject line to message body. And 3, send personalized emails to each recipient. Let's start with querying the data set. And you can see that it determined that it should use the query with SQL step, right? And it said, select first name, email, and language from users. Now, you saw me create my data set. There's not a first name field. I think there was an email field. It might have been email address. And I do think there was a language field. But for those of you that know SQL, you know that that query is not going to do much against our data set. So let's see what it does. It got a response back of null. So it said, hey, I'm sorry. It seems the SQL query didn't return any results. Let's try a more general query to see what columns are available in the data set. Now this time it did select star from users limit 1. Right? So it's being efficient. It's saying, hey, let's just figure out what the schema is. And it came back with email address, name, and language. Super cool. So if we scroll down here, we can say, hey, it said, thank you for the information. Now that we have the correct column names, let's query the data set for all the users. Right? When I talk about this thing being efficient in credit usage, as was pointed out in the chat, each action, each programmatic action the agent takes is 1/25 of a credit. Had I given it a little bit more verbose description, it would have saved those first 2 queries, right? It would be a little bit more efficient because it would know that the valid query out of the gate is select name, email address, language from users. It would have saved me a couple of steps. So again, 1/10 of a credit, not a huge deal, but more verbosity or description in the instruction is going to help it be more efficient. But I'm impressed with how it found its way through here, right? So it queried the data set for all the users, and you can see it got back Dan Hendriksen, language English, name Dan, Spanish, Japanese, right? So now it's like, great, we've got the list of users. We've got their names, their email addresses, and their preferred language. It made the decision to use the text generation function to translate the subject line and message body, and then use the send email function to send the personalized email. We'll do this for each user in the result set. So it went through here, translate the following to English. That's an easy one. This is another one where I could have told it, hey, if the preferred language is English, you don't need to translate it, right? And then it wouldn't have made a call to generate new text translating English to English, right? So again, when we talk about efficiency, I should have told it, hey, if the message is in English, or if the preferred language is English, don't worry about the translation, just pass the message right on through. But again, I'm doing it quick and dirty to show you guys how well this thing works. Hey, check this out. It actually made the decision. The text was already in English, so no translation was necessary. So there you go. It was smart enough to know that it didn't need to translate it, and it didn't use those credits. So now that we have the translated text, let's send the email, and it sent an email. Then we go through, email sent to Dan in English. Let's proceed to the second user who prefers Spanish. And we can see that it translated, this to, I'm not going to try to read that. I'm not a Spanish speaker. But the little bit I do know, it looks like it did a pretty good job. I saw there was someone from Barcelona. So as we go through this, if you want to weigh in on its ability to translate to Spanish, that would be great. And then as we follow it through, I think Japanese. We told it to do it in Japanese. So for my guy or gal who's here from Tokyo, you can tell us how good of a job it did there. Again, I could have been more verbose and told it to do an explicit translation or to just translate the spirit of the message. All depends on what you want to do. But if we walk down through here, ultimately it resolves in providing an output, which in this case is a list of objects where it tells me who the recipient, the email, the language, and the status was. Now, very cool. And let me just real quick, I think, let's take a look here. Yeah, so I'm going to pull up, I'll drag this over to this screen. Here's my message that I got in Japanese. Here is my message that I got in Spanish. And here is my message that I got in English, right? So the agent went and did its thing. It looks like it didn't translate anything here, although it did add a best regards, your AI team. Kind of cool. Again, should have given it some direction there on how I wanted it to end the message. Didn't do that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy. Here's our Spanish one. Esta es una hoja de instrucciones. Again, I'm not gonna butcher the Spanish language, but it looks like I did a pretty good job. And then here is my message in Japanese. So it did address me by my name. It's pretty cool. And it looks like it did exactly what I wanted it to. So wanted to walk you through what that testing looks like. This is a great opportunity for you to do some prompt engineering, right? If it did things other than what we wanted it to do, we could, play around with this test, adjust our instructions, and continue to test and iterate on it. One thing I want to point out, this agent response. So the AI agent task is no different than every other step in a workflow where it's going to give you something back in the output. The default agent response is just an open object. Now, if you click the little pencil here, you can add child properties. You can add as many as you want to, and the AI agent will figure out a way to provide that in the response. So, I saw my man Bruce was chiming in on an AI agent that I helped him build. In that case, there was a bunch of things that we wanted the agent to give us back so that the workflow could make some more decisions and do things later on. By telling this what children you need and what data type you want it to be, it will provide those children, so you'll have those available to use later on. In this case, I mentioned it was a one-step workflow. We've got the one step we want, which is our AI agent task. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then, as always, our outputs need to be mapped to something. So I'm going to hit create variable and map down here in the lower right-hand corner. And then our workflow is done. So I'm going to hit this plus button under flow controls. I'm going to add an end shape. And for title goes here, we'll say workflow complete. Bruce, you're too kind. I only know any of this stuff because we've got a fabulous team of engineers that's building the coolest AI solutions out there, and they're kind enough to let me bend their ear and harass them. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy this thing, and now our AI agent is out there in the wild, and I can start to let my users use it. Right, so. It can be leveraged a number of different ways, right? I can hit this play button up in the upper right-hand corner because at the end of the day, it is a workflow. What you'll likely want to do, so I'll show you how to do that, is create an app, right? We'll just give this app some very basic name and utility, right? We'll call it company communications. Obviously, you guys have got all sorts of really cool apps, but I want to show you how to incorporate it in there. With this plus button, we can grab the workflow thing, drag it out here, and we can see, I can't even remember what I called this thing. Was it company communication? What did I call it? Okay, well, let's do this. Let's look for ones that are owned by me and newly created send translated communications. That's what I called it. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, put that workflow here, and you can see that it gives us that form. Now, a few other ways you can do it, right? We can put a button here. We'll just show you a couple of them real fast while we're here. I'm just going to give this a label of send company comms. I'm going to tie an action to it. I want it to initiate a workflow with it's got form inputs, right? I'm going to select that same workflow. We'll show you what that looks like. But I'm going to just go ahead and save my app with those two things. Now you've got an example of if we want it to be a button, I click that, I get a pop-up. I can put a subject line and the message body in, or I can do it right here. A couple of different methods to present that. So I'm going to say, here we are sending another email. I'm just going to say in here, we'll mix a little HTML in here this time for fun. Here is a fancy heading. We'll go ahead and close our tag, and I'm going to say, we love AI agents, and I hope you do too. Keep on building. You customers are the best part of Domo. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and submit that. Now our agent is doing its thing, right? So when you talk about or consider what leveraging these agents looks like for your end users, just showed you a couple of really simple examples there. And we'll keep an eye on my email. It'll take just a second, but those will start to show up, and we'll take another look at those. Oh yeah, now he's cooking. Greg, I love the excitement. Again, this takes just a second, but check it out, super quick. I got my first one in English. You can see that we've got my fancy heading there. The Spanish and Japanese translations are starting to come in now. Here's my Spanish one, and we'll give it just a second, and we should have our Japanese one. So yeah, here it is. Perfect. We'll bring that over. So the agent lives in our workflows engine, right? So if you're new to workflows, I want you to understand that workflows can do a lot of things. They can house these AI agents, but we could also have all sorts of other conditional logic and whatnot in here. So if you were to try to leverage something like this, we're going to send out real communications to customers. You may say, hey, I want these things to be approved first, right? This session today is not on workflows. It's not on how to build them, but be aware, we got a lot of great content on it. You can find it on the YouTube. You can find it on learndomo.com, but you could very easily implement a step prior to the AI agent where somebody approves the content of the message, right? You could tell the AI agent that before it sends it, you want to output it and have a native Japanese reader read it to make sure that it didn't do anything funky with the translations. So you can build a lot more steps into your process, put a lot more guardrails up, have some human in the loop activities as we refer to them, so you can make sure that the AI doesn't go off and do something that you don't want it to do. Again, this example was intended to be quick and dirty. We broke some best practices. We talked through the best practices you should use, introduced you to the AI agent, and again, know that you can have lots of other steps in your process so that you're not just allowing anybody to blast messages out to your customer base. So that said, that is our content, Eddie. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And do we got any questions we should address?
Brandon's ready to build his Domo spam bot.
Oh, Domo spam bot.
I don't know if we would encourage that. Probably not part of our best practice. Brandon, you do you, brother.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome stuff from Dan, as always. Zach Cameron here. Our good friend Zach over in education. Boy, that's a long URL to put on the screen, but obviously it's a good call out. Click that through the chat. But yeah, thanks for joining, brother. Workflows, a very effective way to do really cool stuff very quickly in Domo. Awesome stuff, guy from Chaz. Habib would love to understand how this can help with complex data generation and analytics.
Habib, one thing that I'll share with you guys in the spirit of this being an AI thing, right? I showed you, if I could present my screen again, Eddie. Let's see here. We'll go with that guy. What I shared with you is how to test your AI agent right there in the workflow. One thing that I want to make sure you're all aware of is in your instance, under this More button, you should see Domo AI, and you can come in here to the AI playground. It's the gears over here on the left, and you can play around with prompts and see outputs for all the different AI services that we offer. So, if we wanted to understand how text generation was going to handle my translations, right, I can come in here and say, please translate this to Japanese. Man, Habib is the man, right? And I can run this thing right here, just this singular step of our message translation, and get a really good idea of what's going to happen. We can see the output. It gave me some Japanese, looks like some kanji or something there. So, and it even explained to me that it translated to Habib is great, which is a close equivalent to the English expression. So when you're talking about understanding what it can do and wanting to have a better understanding of how different pieces or components might occur, I just wanted to point out to you that the AI playground is a really cool way to come in and understand how those individual AI services might handle what you want to throw at it.
Our friend Chapman asks, is there a quick way to edit a workflow, review steps? And as always, the community on the chat never disappoints. Coming in the May release.
So let's expand on that super quick, Chapman.
Yeah.
Once the workflow is deployed, that workflow is what it is, right? The only thing you can do is deactivate it or delete it. But what Scotty, my friend Michael Scott, who 3 cheers for him, he's one of the engineers that works on building all this cool stuff. What Scotty's referring to is in May, I think it's going to be like the 20th for all you guys, you'll have the opportunity to run a workflow without deploying it. So today you can only test each individual step, but in May you'll be able to say, hey, I want to save my workflow. I'm not going to deploy it yet. I want to run it. And that workflow can run. You can watch it go through all of its steps without actually having it deployed and available to other people. So when Scotty mentions, yes, coming in the May release, I just wanted to cover that nuance. You won't be able to edit deployed workflows, but you will be able to run non-deployed workflows, which allow you to really test them and will cut down on your version counts.
Ryan asked, is the AI agent Catalyst that was announced at Domopalooza what we just saw, or is this something coming soon or completely different? Maybe give some clarification.
Yeah, so I think this is a good time to clarify that I don't speak on behalf of the product team here at Domo. We'll leave that up to Ben.
Well, wait for our phone call from Ben Shine. That's, my phone
it's probably coming right now. But Ryan, my best answer to that is that what you saw was the agent Catalyst. I think it's more of a categorical or topical thing, but yeah, that is the AI agent that we just looked at.
Awesome. Some other questions here. There was a question for me, Dan. I don't get a lot during these sessions.
Okay.
So maybe it's my turn to shine. Charlotte asked, how would I be able to subscribe to notifications on these webinars? I'm a data analyst, and now I only get to know about these from my manager. So Charlotte, because you're most likely a Domo user, you have access to the Domo community, shameless plug, communityforums.domo.com. community-forums.domo.com. And under the events page, this is where we list all of these events. Now, if you are a member of the community, which I believe all of the folks, the hundreds of folks joining us, you should be a member of our community. If you are, you will get an automatic notification when we upload new events. You have to opt out of those. So you may be opted out. Your notification settings may be changed. So just take a look at your profile, go to notification preferences, and you should be able to get these notified automatically as soon as they get uploaded into the community, which are Episode 2 will be uploaded very, very shortly. Dan, there were a couple questions I may want to just go back to. We have a few minutes. So there was a question about any way to add a user-facing input to a dashboard and create an agentic AI that responds to that input live using the data on the dashboard, similar to the Domo AI chat tool, but with a customized agentic AI that I build. Andy would like to know.
Yeah, so Andy, that's absolutely possible. What you would do is you would build a pro code app that leverage those AI endpoints, right? And that's going to give you kind of those front end interactions where your app can call different things, get responses, and grab different inputs from that user. So the level of effort goes up quite a bit, but absolutely possible for people like my man Riley Morgan. It's a lot easier. I'm not so much an engineer because you are in pro code territory at that point, but yes, you absolutely can.
Awesome. I love questions like this. There's step-by-step written resources available to better understand all those parameters. And the reason why I love questions like this is there are folks that would like to, have something tangible, maybe a step-by-step guide. The best thing I can tell you is Dan is kind of more available on the resource side. Probably lots of things in the knowledge base, probably lots of things at Learn Domo, lots of things on the Domo community, and obviously this recording. Feel free to slow Dan down a bit, although I think he goes at a great pace. May want to just drop me down to maybe 0.5. I talk really fast. Basically you can pause and rewatch and relearn on demand, which is why we provide them that way as well. So thank you for that comment, Rachel, and everybody else in the chat. Keep them coming. There are lots of folks, Dan, that would like to know if this Lego Domo Dan is the real Dan. Can you comment at all on
what do you think? Should I
Dan here? Yeah, maybe we'll get a side-by-side comparison.
I think we were in Miami when someone pointed that out, and I started autographing the buses. Unfortunately, I don't think they truly did that as a nod to me. I think it was part of another promotion where it just happened to rhyme. But I'm going to tell anybody and everybody else that I am absolutely that Domo Dan, and try and maybe I can get some NIL agreement or something with Domo for putting me out there like that.
Yeah, there's gotta be some sort of kickback we can get Dan, some kind of grassroots campaign to make sure he's getting royalties from the Lego Domo Dan.
Yes.
Pranav, where can I find the recordings or details of past Domo workflow sessions? Again, community-forums.domo.com. And obviously all of these sessions are uploaded on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. Find the Domo pages, go to videos. You will see a ton of content. I think if you were to rewatch this session, scroll up on the chat, you should be able to see some of the links that people sent out for those as well.
And there's real quick on that, Eddie. I was just going to say the link that Zach gave is a long one, so I don't expect you to try to type it in from there. But if you go to learndomo.domo.com and you just search for getting started with workflows, or even just workflows at the top, we've had really good feedback on that. That is in my opinion, the best way to kind of get some of the foundational knowledge. It would take you less than 2 hours to complete. And Pranav, if you go through that as a precursor to diving into some of the live streams and some of the other stuff we've done in the past, it'll do a good job of helping you get some foundational knowledge. We try to be thorough, but they're also fairly quick, and that should do a good job tying off on those concepts.
Awesome. Dan, anything else? We still have hundreds of people joining us. We're wrapping up the session. We have a few more minutes left. Maybe a good time to promote this series and a little bit about what we're going to be doing upcoming with the current environment of these Advanced Customer Enablement hands-on sessions, kind of transitioning to what we'd like to call AI Academy. We have 8 on the books scheduled that are going to be happening over the course of the next several weeks, with many more, as long as folks continue to value the content.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got, I think we're going to try to hit a cadence of every 10 days. So 2 out of 3 weeks, we should have one. We're We're going to test it out with these first 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, bouncing between 10 o'clock Mountain and 2 o'clock Mountain. Seems like those times generally work for our global audience. One of these days, I'll force Eddie to get up at 1 a.m. so we can nail it for you Australians or the folks in Japan. But we haven't got there yet. But yeah, the next 2 that we got, this marketing campaign management, which you're going to love. That's going to be with Riley. We'll keep the powder dry on that one, but tons of value and utility. Even if you're not a marketer, I would encourage you to attend that one. We'll build upon what we learned today in leveraging that AI agent and more. And then the one after that will be with my guy, Greg Oxier. If you don't know Greg or you haven't had a chance to meet him on one of these live streams yet, you will absolutely love him. He's a total stud. And he is going to do a session on May 1st that's going to be around unstructured data and getting information out of images. My guy, Bruce, he was inspired by something he saw at that agentic showcase. We built a solution for him that inspired Greg, and that's going to cover the content that he goes over. But that one's going to be all around creating an agent to help extract value out of images. So think about things like, having a camera feed that can help you understand if there's product on the shelf, or if there's a long line at the checkout counter, or if the parking lot needs to be plowed because it's covered with snow, things like that, right? Processing data from images. I know exactly the example that Greg's going to use, but that's what he's going to teach you. So we got those 2. And then, like I said, we got 5 more after that. We're going to see how you guys handle the 10-day cadence, and then we'll set the others from there. We may go to every 2 weeks. We may do it once a week. We'll see what your guys' appetite for it is, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's exciting times. Obviously, we have a lot to look forward to, and a lot of folks continue to sign up and enjoy these. And it's all about helping you succeed in Domo, so that you can jump into those other sessions and really get kind of a structured approach to what comes next. And it doesn't happen without Dan's team. I get to, be the host and have fun and click the buttons and do some production work. But Dan and team are really the brains behind this operation. So lots of comments about you, Dan. Obviously, thank you for your time and for your team's time and continuing to innovate in this space. We can't wait to see what Riley has in store. No pressure. Riley's in the background. No pressure for his next session as we kind of come up on the hour. So thank you to everyone in the chat. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things, and be on the lookout for that next event happening that we'll post on the community forum shortly later today.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Love all the engagement. I know there's still more questions. Keep them coming. Hop on the community forum. And we'll absolutely get to those. So Praveen, I saw you had a few. Me and a bunch of other folks at Domo get alerts when certain topics are covered or addressed there. So ask in the community, and then the response will be memorialized for everybody else. So thanks. It's all these comments. I love it. You guys are the best. And just one more shout out for our engineers. I know I get a lot of credit for being the brains behind this stuff. It's the Michael Scotts and the Nolan Landefelds and all those guys throughout the organization that are actually building these tools. So from me to them, much love and thank you for giving me access to some cool tools that I get to share with all of you. So.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I wasn't trying to rickroll you. I know there were some questions. It didn't work out quite the way I would have liked. But maybe there's a chance not to see Dan and I's face for a few moments. If you're looking for a QR code to take you directly to the registration page for our next session, that's it. So we will hopefully see you on episode 2 of the AI Academy through the Advanced Customer Enablement Team. Boy, that's a lot of words. Look forward to seeing you on August 22nd. And again, thanks everybody for joining.
April 22nd. We're not going to make them wait 4 months. You said August. Too many A's. We got too many A's. My brain's
already in the fall, brother. My brain's already to the fall. April 22nd. April 22nd. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Thank you.